Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into a Wednesday live stream. Today, we're going to talk about some of the events that have been happening in decentralized science, including DeSci Dubai. It's Token 2049 in Dubai, and we have DeSci Berlin coming up again soon. I will not be attending either of those events this year because I have too many things that I must work on for Agent Bill. Right now, we are seeing the crypto markets continuing to just chop sideways, which is really good. We don't want to go straight up because then we just come straight back down. We want to have a stair-stepping chop upwards. So Bitcoin chilling at $94,000, just under $94,000. Again, I think we're going to come down and tap right around here in about a week and a half, right at $90,000 before we hopefully hold it as support and then chop and sprint back up to all-time highs. As far as all the other coins, they are currently bleeding against Bitcoin, which is not a surprise as Bitcoin dominance continues to just chop higher and higher and higher and higher, putting in cycle highs right now. God damn. All the Bitcoin maxis are hyped right now. Absolutely hyped. Decentralized science currently sitting just under $600 million in market cap, and with a trading volume of $62 million, which is pretty good. Man, oh man, even in the downtimes right now, even in the downtimes when we are down like 75% for the total function of DeSci market cap. How many of you guys remember when we were just under 200 million? So we're up 3x from a year ago, give or take. Pretty crazy, pretty good. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the ride. I know it's painful, but times like now are when the soldiers survive. This is when people make the most amount of money, is when the market looks like it is being devastated. Good morning, Beagle. Good morning, Zach. How's it going, Dr. Crypto? Welcome in, Stare. W's in the chat for C90. W. Welcome in, Steve the Canadian. You are now an official member. You have joined the cult. There is no going back. You must attend every live stream. Let's go. Let me take a sip of my coffee. Okay, if we go look at more in the market, Dynex, I'm pretty sure their buybacks are trying to hold support at 3 cents. So hopefully we'll get some buybacks today or tomorrow to kind of pump us up a little bit again here. They just did a big AMA in Discord, but I did not listen to it. So I will be going and listening to the recap of that AMA. One thing I want to bring up for all of you guys from Dynex specifically is this post yesterday. In the news, Forbes just spotlighted Dynex as a serious challenger to GPT-4 and Grok. So Forbes put out an article on Dynex with their QDLLM. So their quantum-inspired large language model is faster, smaller, and thinks in parallel compared to in sequence. So if you did not know, I'm not going to get in super detailed about it, but GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, and what it is, what ChatGPT and all these GPTs are doing is guessing the next word in a sentence over and over and over and over again. So they are pre-trained models that understand the context of human language, and you ask it a question and it guesses the first word, and then it guesses the second word, and then it guesses the third word in a giant sentence or in whatever it is that you're making. Even if it's an article, what it's doing is consistently guessing the next word in sequence. Quantum-inspired large language models can guess all of the words much more rapidly because they happen to process things in parallel, not in sequence. So once the quantum large language models are established and are actually there being used, the large language models that we know right now will be obsolete. Whether that takes a year, whether that takes 5 years or 10 years, I don't know. But a quantum LLM is going to be what we use in the end of all of this. Unless they completely redesign the transformer model entirely and there is no transformer model. But not to go on a super long rant with that, I just wanted to express that Forbes put out an article on it. Now, I'm pretty sure you pay to get into Forbes, but they have to approve you. Nonetheless, this is really good exposure for Dynex, so hopefully we can see some good positive influx of people using the quantum large language model once it gets officially released. Really exciting. Let's go. I will not be paying $60 a year to read your articles. Go away. Any news on Data Lake? Price is not moving much. I know, dude. I know. I haven't seen too much on Data Lake recently. I have not. I'm still holding my bag. I'm still maintaining that position. I think it's a really solid contender for one of the DeSci projects that does very well over the long term, but I haven't seen them posting much in a while. Yeah, April 18th. So they were doing some podcasts and they're making some good content with MGOs from Biohacker, but I've not seen them make a post since April 18th, and it's been about a week, about 12 days, so a little bit of time. What do you guys think the actual dollar per EAI will be by December? That one document says 9 cents, but the monthly AUM increase of 100 million seems like a long shot. I think Eagle AI has a chance to be a lot higher than 9 cents. I forget what my price prediction was on it, but I think that Eagle AI, as long as they continue to expand and grow that trading volume and the payouts that they do, I could see Eagle AI soaring much higher. 9 cents, what the hell? Boy, it's at 40 cents. I was gonna say, I thought my target on it was something like $10, but because it's yielding out effectively a dividend every month, I think that people will hold and stake this thing and drive the price way higher than what it is right now. Like a $16 million market cap, I think is not going to be there for a long time. I think that you got to remember, every single month they're going to get a push in people talking about them online because everyone will have received those dividend payments. So I think they have a really solid shot at pushing much, much higher. Oh, the trade dividend. Okay. I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't given it enough thought to try and predict what the trade dividends will be. But if they're really good with their trading and that hedge fund starts making solid money and actually outperforming the markets with those predictive analysis on Bitcoin and other altcoins, I think that they'll get more and more clientele, and then hopefully that trade dividend increases quite dramatically. I think it'll be a lot higher than what it's at right now, because every time we use Eagle AI, it really does accurately predict the direction of Bitcoin. Every time we've pulled it up, it's been pretty spot on, which is cool. Yes, I agree. I agree. Okay, let's go through some of the news articles that Bill wanted us to cover today. So number one, autonomous science is becoming a reality in 2025. At DeSci Dubai, Pump Science discussed how it's using biotesting providers like Aurora Biomedical to run open science lab tests and sending results to decentralized data stores. So that's pretty cool. We can generate AI-enabled data sets while embedding AI into the actual experiments. Nice. I gotta go get this video and get it transcribed to go have Bill learn on it so that I can ask him questions about what they said so I can make some good content, because I think this is very valuable information that was released at DeSci Dubai. And unfortunately, I wasn't there to actually listen to any of it, so I need to get as much of that info crammed into my skull as I can possibly manage. The only problem is, I found out that even if you do pay the $4,000 a month to get access to X's APIs, they don't let you take spaces or broadcasts or even articles off the platform. You have to keep all of it on the platform, which is pretty crazy. But nonetheless, there's workarounds. There are some workarounds. Next up, we got biomedical innovation. I already talked about this one, but just a reminder for everyone that there is a $4 billion NIH freeze. Meaning what, guys? What does that mean? What does that mean? We talk about it all the time. Where's the video hosted right now? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was a broadcast on X. Yeah. So it was a broadcast on X, so it's hosted on X. I think it's Cloudflare when I was scraping stuff, but it has an anti-scrape feature. You're not supposed to scrape X for anything. You're not supposed to, unless they give it to you, and they only give you tweets and information on those tweets, but they don't give you the media. They give you links to pictures, and if the video was posted on X, they'll allow it, but not the broadcast. It's really weird. It's really weird. But the freeze, I asked you what it meant. It means that researchers and academics are going to have to be looking for alternatives to their funding. And DeSci is one of the avenues that they can go down. Now, there's not $4 billion of liquidity to give them, but it's giving us the opportunity to grow and expand the entire field. So that is exciting. Maybe someone streamed it on YouTube too. Oh, that would be nice. I bet, ooh, that's good actually, that's good. Let's go check out YouTube. I think it would be Molecule probably. But I'm just checking Bio Protocol first. Subscribe. Live streams. Live streamed a day ago. DeSci Summit Dubai. Hell yeah, all 8 hours. And they did the hackathons. All right, bullish. Thank you. How am I not subscribed? Make sure you guys like and subscribe. They streamed something 5 months ago, so that's crazy. 2 weeks ago they posted the video. But this will be good. I can scrape this. So thank you for that. I already have it set up to be able to scrape YouTube, so I will just link it to the bio account. So W's in the chat for C90. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hopefully everything gets posted on YouTube. YouTube is much easier to work with. Next up, we have Decentralized Science can unlock a new era of scientific innovation in Africa by opening access to funding, talent networks, and global collaboration. This Friday, we're hosting an open conversation to hear directly from African builders. Bullish. x.com/i/spaces. If there's any builders, let me just put this out there for anyone. If there are any devs, any builders in the chat right now, I would really like to talk with you if you guys want to help build a bot for something. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to vibe code it, and I will, but it's gonna take a little bit of time. So if any builders are in the chat, raise your hand right now so that I can know to reach out to you, because I have something that I need to be built out, which I can build, but it'd be quicker if one of you guys would help. And just to give you a little bit of news on it or information, what I want to do, see how this space is set for May 2nd at 11 a.m. I would like to create, I can pull in an alert system for spaces, right? I can pull in the scheduled space, but you can't pull a transcription of the space. So what I want to do is create a bot that will sit in and listen on the space and then record the space and transcribe it. That's what I want to build. So if one of you guys knows of it, or if one of you guys knows how to build, please HMU, because that would be nice. I know, rip Thuna. I haven't seen Thuna in so long. Thuna, please, come back. Thuna! Thuna! And then Molecule, so they wrapped up DeSci Summit in Dubai, which looks like it was a fun time, so I'm glad that everyone got there and was able to express the good word of decentralized science. We'll see you all at DeSci Berlin. This year was really good. There was a lot of content that went out from DeSci Dubai, so appreciate everyone who was there, who was making some good content. That was very bullish of them. And then we got genomes.io. May 6th, there's an adventure. I don't know. A little ambiguity. But I do know that they have a myth busting, the top 5 genomes.io myths debunked. So they had 9 people tune in. Stuff like this. I want to create a bot that will go listen to the spaces, go play the space and record it. We will not recover until Thuna Magnet returns. I agree. We need to get Thuna back. We need to get Thuna back. All right, I pushed him too hard with the dev stuff, and now he's afraid to show up again because he doesn't want me to ask him for stuff and then him have to say no. But we need him back. We need Thuna. Thuna, Thuna, Thuna. Last thing up here is week 2 of the Curing Transaction Hash competition underway. Get a chance to win a privacy-first health wearable built to return data control to you. So hopefully you guys are in on the competition. Submit your AXGT transaction hash here. So I think they just want to show that you are buying their token, and then they will presumably pick someone to win. I know, Mandy's working right now. It has been a minute since she said hello. I think she's on a call right now, otherwise I would go ask her to come say hello. But she is, TikTok had a lot of structural shifts, and so her job has like 10x the amount of responsibilities that she had. And at the same time, the market tanked for 4 months, and so she was like, I can't quit the job to go all in on the market as it's falling for 4 months. Which is respectable. Somebody has to have a job, right? No. F the job. F the jobs. No jobs. Unemployed. Crypto. Thuna just ran through Thuna. No, come on. Mods. Yeah. There you go. Those are the updates. Decentralized science market update. So lots of events, people still making progress. I want to keep an eye out over the next couple of days for when some of the projects that were at DeSci Dubai actually do some breakdowns of how it was, right? We all know, anyone who's been to an event knows that after the event is complete, a lot of people will stick around and do some after party networking. And so a lot of that's probably going on right now, people experiencing Dubai. And so I imagine probably next Monday we'll get some good breakdowns of how the event actually was. And then we can get some backdoor information. I'm sure there will be a lot of announcements and a lot of things that happened at those events that we did not know were going to happen, right? People choose to make announcements in those small siloed areas because that's some of the highest impact people at those events. Thuna has PTSD, he really does. Probably wise one of you have a job. No, come on, nobody needs a job. No, C90. Nobody needs jobs. It's all fake anyways. We'll just print some more. We'll just print more money. Dun, 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 dun. No, actually, yeah, because I ran out of money to buy the dip a while ago, and so we need some income. Let's scroll through some of the coins on the watch list. So number one, we got Bill Nye, the DeSci guy. So he's holding support pretty decently here. Hopefully we can maintain this bit of a breakout that occurred and then probably continue upwards here soon. I would not be that surprised if after I say this, somebody goes and sells and we go back down to 10 cents before continuing up higher. But I do think that so long as the market, this pullback maintains, right? Remember, Bill is following Bitcoin pretty spot on. So Bitcoin has a pullback down to 90K and then explodes to all-time highs. Bill has a pullback down to 10 cents and then explodes hopefully back to all-time highs in this next leg. But I think more realistically, we explode backwards of 7 to 8 cents, somewhere around here. 10 cents maybe. We will see. Next, we got SHI. SHI is still maintaining that floor. And I'm pretty sure they're working on some KOL rounds for some of the information that's recently come out as far as their partnerships and their announcement with, what was it? Rare Compute, right? Rare Compute is a solid team of researchers. And so in the next couple of weeks, we'll get some news from Rare Compute, and then we'll get the marketing to push this thing up and get everyone aware of what's going on over there at Rare Compute. Let me put the glasses on. My eyes are starting to get a little bit blurry already today. And that'll be good. As far as where we go, I don't know. First and foremost, we need to break above. I think we need to get back above $1 for Poseidon DAO. I think we need to see this back above $1 before we can really count that the bottom is officially in. It does look like it's bottoming out here and it's trying to find support. A $1.5 million market cap is disrespectful, and so I do think that this will be a quick recovery when it does manage to recover. Shogun have surged massively. Bill can do the same. I agree, Dr. Crypto. I agree. I think especially, like I say that Bill is following Bitcoin, but if we actually look, Bill's probably following creator bid pretty nicely. And so we look at what's going on here at creator bid, and you'll see that it's actively breaking out. So that is exciting, up 8% on the day, and it looks like it's getting above that trend line that it had been getting rejected by. So I want to see bid surge up above 10 cents. I want to see us get above that 10-cent mark, and then I think we'll be set up for really, really solid price action. So this surge that happened on bid, and then there was a surge that happened on Bill, because Bill is one of the top agents on bid. So April 23rd is when we saw bid surge. When did we see Bill surge? On leading into it, the 22nd, it went up a bit, 24th, so the day after. So today or tomorrow, expect some good price action for Bill, just based off of the bid chart here, if we do get this breakout to sustain a bit. Bitcoin maxis say I have enough Bitcoin to retire, but there's no cash flow in holding. Would love to believe them though. Yeah, we'll see. C90. That's why a lot of people go over to MicroStrategy and try and hold some of their Bitcoin in MicroStrategy, because there is that dividend that they throw off. However, you're paying an egregious amount of money in order to keep that cash flow on the Bitcoin, right? Because there's a premium on MicroStrategy, MSTR, not MDTR, MSTR. I do think that there's a solid, I mean, whoa, just broke there for a second. MicroStrategy is tracking Bitcoin pretty perfectly, right? It is a very much trading one-to-one with it. MicroStrategy kind of predicting a Bitcoin breakout here, but you're paying, I think, the net book on MicroStrategy compared to how much Bitcoin they're holding, you're paying a 2x premium compared to just buying Bitcoin. But which means that if and when things start coming down, MicroStrategy should fall more aggressively than Bitcoin falls. In the good times, it makes sense to hold MicroStrategy. In the bad times, it makes sense to just go back to Bitcoin. One strategy that I think you could implement if you want that cash flow on your Bitcoin would be, you ready for this? You ready for this, guys? Okay. Options. Hear me out. I'm not saying you buy options on Bitcoin. I'm not saying you guess the price movement of Bitcoin. What I'm suggesting here is you find a reliable source for options. I don't know, do the ETFs have options yet for Bitcoin? Does anyone know if the ETFs for Bitcoin have options yet? No, what's the ticker for? Australia's first. Yeah. Because that's what MicroStrategy just prints money by issuing shares to then go buy more Bitcoin. It is a mini Ponzi scheme, but everything is, so you can't really say much about it. But MicroStrategy just is going to continue to water down your shareholder value consistently, so that they can just buy Bitcoin. And as long as Bitcoin keeps going up and stays above their liquidation prices, then you're good to go. But they just keep issuing debt to buy Bitcoin. It's kind of crazy, but Bitcoin ETF options contracts. Oh yeah, it's IBIT. Ooh, okay. All right, so here's how you get the premium. This is some good alpha for you guys, okay? You have the iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF, right? If you go purchase 100 shares of IBIT here, all right? You're gonna be owning Bitcoin through the ETF, right? So it's not as good as owning actual Bitcoin, but for all intensive purposes, if you're trying to yield farm off of Bitcoin, it works, okay? What you're going to do is sell covered options, okay? So when Bitcoin is surging, right, you're going to find a price that you are willing to sell your Bitcoin for. I know nobody wants to sell their Bitcoin, but the goal is to also not sell the Bitcoin, right? You're going to find a price that you'd be happy to sell some of your Bitcoin at. Meaning, let's say it's going on right now, right? And it's a little bit tricky and you have to pay attention, but this is how you can yield farm it. So let's say that you would be happy selling your IBITs if it were to break above $64, right? So it's putting in those all-time highs again, and you'd be okay selling it above $64. You go here to the options chain. You go out by 45 days because, I'll explain that in a second actually. You go out by 45 days, which would put us around June 20th, and you sell a $64 strike price call. Are we on the call chain? Yes, we are. You go to $64 and you sell one of these. And what you do is collect $100. You collect $1 per share. You have 100 shares, so you collect $109, $106, one of those two. Because that's the spread between the last price, the bid and the ask, sorry. So the bid and the ask is 106 to 110. So let's just say you collect $108 on it, right? And what you're doing is agreeing to sell 100 shares of IBIT if it gets above $64 in the next 45 days. So in this scenario, I think that is slightly possible, but what happens either way, you would sell, if IBIT is above $64, you would sell your 100 shares of IBIT for $64 per share, meaning you booked that profit as it went up, and you got paid $100 to do that, right? So really it would be like you're selling at 65. If it doesn't hit $64, then you just collect the $100 on that money. And every 45 days you can do it again. And the reason why you pick 45 days is because the time decay, the theta on options. So theta is the Greek that represents time decay for the option contract. You pay a premium of time because time is valuable, right? And so the last 45 days of an option's lifespan, that theta decay happens quicker than it does on any other time period. Meaning you're betting against time here. You're working with time in a sense. You're saying that in 45 days, you don't think the price would get above whatever price you pick. And so as long as it doesn't get above that price, you keep your shares and you get to collect that premium. On the flip side, if Bitcoin is going down, let's say right here, it's at $53 and you say if it goes back down to $45, I would be happy to buy the dip. I'd be happy to put another 100 shares worth of purchases here. So another $4,500. So if it goes below $45, you would have to buy 100 shares. So you'd be DCAing and they will pay you to DCA, right? So let's go over to the put options. Are there puts? Yeah, I think you have to go past the spread though. Puts. So let's look at this one. So we're out 45 days on the puts and we do $45 here. So you would collect $85, $85 to DCA if it goes down and hits $45, right? If it doesn't hit $45, you just collected $85 for doing nothing. If it does go down to $45, you collected $85 to DCA, right? So you collect that little bit of a yield. Now, these numbers seem small right now, and I understand that, but let's do a little bit of math here, okay? Let's do a little bit of math. There's 365 days in a year. Divide this out by 45, meaning you get to do this strategy 8 times a year, okay? 8 times a year. In this exact example with the IBIT shares, and I know you have FBTC, I get that, but the same process, the same thing works. Let's say, remember the 8 times you get to do it a year, you're playing here with 100 shares, which is $5,300 right now, okay? And so with $5,300, you get to collect either $85 every 45 days, or you collected $108, right? So divide this by 2 to just get the average of it. You collect on average $96 every time you do this strategy. You multiply this out by the 8 because you're doing it 8 times a year, and you get $772 in dividends every year. Divide this by the $5,300 that you have right now, and you're looking at a 14% yield on your Bitcoin, it's an active yield, right? You have to work for it a little bit, and sometimes you'll end up getting executed, but there are strategies at play that you could do, right? Sometimes you'll get executed on it and you'll have to sell your Bitcoin or you'll have to buy your Bitcoin, and that is a taxable event. And so you have to take it into account to make sure it's worth it. But you would always, if you do it correctly, you'd always be selling for a profit and you would always be buying on dips. So it is sometimes worth it. The times that it would get a little bit unfortunate would probably be when we are in one of these types of moments right here, right? So if we zoom in, when Bitcoin really gets moving, if you sold a call here saying you'd be happy to sell at $45 and then it just skyrockets all the way up to 60, you would miss out on that move, right? Because you sold here. So you need to make sure that you're paying attention to the charts and you don't do it in times where you think it's going to rip. The other time it would be unfortunate is if you are in a massive crash and you buy for 43 and it really ends up going down to 29 or something, right? And you could have bought it for cheaper, but ultimately that turns just into opportunity cost because you're making money on both sides regardless. But yeah, do out the math, see if it makes sense for you, and see if you're willing to take that risk to earn a little bit of yield. But that is a strategy that works really, really nicely. It really does. It works really beautifully. When I was doing that strategy with my portfolio, I had like 10 grand in Robinhood, and I was doing that on different stocks that I was buying and investing in anyways. And I was averaging out per year, like roughly 40% earnings, active dividend, if you want to call it that, a year. Because what would happen is sometimes, let's say I sold a call right now on iBit, and I sold a $60 call, and I come up to the calls and I sell a $60 call, which is right here. I collect $180 for selling that call. And then next week, you see Bitcoin drop for that retest. If you then buy the option back, the decay is very aggressive. It's very aggressive. You're betting against the gamblers. In this example, you're acting as the house in a casino, and the house usually wins. If you're selling options, you have to remember that roughly 80% of all options expire worthless. And so you're shorting these options in this strategy. You're selling them hoping that they become worthless. And with an edge of 80%, most of the time they become worthless. You just have to pay attention to the markets. Hopefully that makes sense. I know I went on a little bit of a tangent. If I could predict 40%, I'd retire by Friday at 5 p.m. Literally though. It's high. The yields get high. Warren Buffett does this strategy. Really. Warren Buffett does a version of this strategy. What he does, he goes to the S&P 500, okay? And he really does do this. He finds options, like when the market tanks like this, he goes out and he sells a put. The market is hungry for puts. He goes out and he sells puts. He sells them for 20-year expiration dates. I don't know that he does this so much anymore, but he used to do this last time I checked at least. He goes out and sells puts that expire in 20 years. You can do this in the European markets. I don't think you can do this in the United States markets, and I don't think they're open to people like us. You have to be uber rich to do this, the one that he does, but he sells puts that expire in 20 years because he's betting in 20 years the stock market will be higher than it is right now, right? And so if in the year 2045 the market's higher than it is right now, he makes money for free. All he had to do was sell that put up a little bit of collateral saying he'll buy 100 shares of the stock market of the S&P 500 if it is below the price that it's at right now in 20 years. It is a very low risk way to make yield. My brother works for Uncle Warren. I'll see if he can get me in a little meeting with him. That's actually a cool claim to fame there. That's pretty cool. Working for Berkshire Hathaway. W. So just to give you that little bit of social proof to know that the market, like people do this strategy. It is a really good strategy. You just have to be paying attention. It's trading with less risk. But yeah, there you have it. Does anyone have questions, or did that make sense? We've gone over it several times because I really am a fan of the strategy. And once we exit this cycle, I will be implementing that strategy with some positions in the stock market. So once we get the move like this, let's project out bar pattern. I think we get something along the lines of this. We come bring this up here. I think we get something that looks like this. IMO, that's what the rest of this cycle looks like. And so I'd be super happy. Of course, C90, of course. My pleasure. I love going over it. But yeah, in my opinion, this is what we got to work with for the rest of the year. I guess move this up a little bit. Something like that, right? Maybe we get a little surge and then the drop and then the pump to all-time highs again. Then it's choppiness, everyone gets afraid, and then we get that crazy surge up to the 150 to 160, and then it's over. And actually kind of cool how much that lined up pretty spot on. You guys have any questions? Otherwise, we'll cut this one a little bit short because I gotta go. I slept for like 13 hours last night. It was divine. It was divine. I was in bed by like 8 p.m. and I woke up at like 9 a.m. this morning and I was like, oh my God, my body is broken. It was really nice, but I have to go finish up the news part of Bill, which we've got a lot of good progress. The unfortunate part of that is that I can't get the spaces. It's super annoying. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about it. The Fed's worst nightmare just got worse. The new data showed the US GDP contracted by 0.3% in Q1, while 0.3% growth was expected. To make things worse, the GDP price index surged to 3.7, its highest since August 23. What does Powell do now? So we got Q1 GDP of negative. Remember, 2 quarters of a negative GDP is a recession. Now, there needs to be other things like the job market getting super weak for it to be qualified as a real recession, because we had 2 quarters of negative GDP back in 2022, but they said it wasn't a recession. So we need to have other things go with it, but we did also have a weakening labor market in the newest data. It came in something like 40,000 less jobs, I think. I don't quote me on that one. We'll go look at it in a second, but we had the first quarter of negative GDP and we saw treasury yields surging, which is not good. Not good at all. The 10-year yield surging is super bad. And then we also had PCE inflation go up. So this was also not great. So we have negative GDP. We have yields on the rise. We have inflation on the rise according to the PCE, which I think is a bit of a lagging indicator. If we go look at true inflation, it was pretty low. So I'm confident that this one will turn around and start going back down. But I think what this does is postpone any rate cuts that anyone could have been expecting. So let's go look at Fed futures for a second and see if it changed the timeline and everything. Yeah, so confirmed no rate cuts this meeting. We go out to next meeting and you're seeing a little bit of a shift. Nope, it increased the likelihood ever so slightly, but it also more dramatically increased the likelihood that we wouldn't get a rate cut, right? So the people who thought we might get half a basis point of rate cuts, or 50 basis points, excuse me, the people who thought we were going to get 50 basis points went to no rate cuts. So they're still thinking we'll probably get one, not this meeting, but the one in June. But this data is making it less and less likely as time continues. And then to July, very similar-esque story. People who thought we would be significantly lower went more in the midline here. But also the people who thought we wouldn't get a rate cut by July went into the midline here. So market very much expects a rate cut by the end of July. A lot of the people think by June. Not ideal. The numbers today were not ideal. And I think Amit made a nice little summary post here. So let's pull that one up. No, not Vincent. Yeah, here we go. So GDP came in negative for the first time in a couple of years. Job data came in plus 62K, expected plus 115. So it was 50K difference. An ugly miss. What else went wrong? PCE inflation came in at 1.8, expected at 1.2. Remember, this is still below the 2% goal. However, when you expect 1.2 and you get 1.8, that is a large miss of expectations. That shows the market didn't really know what to expect. Market selling off ever so slightly today because of it, but ultimately the market's not really moving down at all on it. If you look at it, we gapped down and then are climbing back up. We are now below one of the moving averages for the NASDAQ, and we're trying desperately to hold this as support. We're trying desperately to hold the moving averages on the hourly at least. So hopefully we can get that. Hopefully. It looks like we are. This type of a setup to me looks like we are going to slowly climb up, but not without some choppiness first. Yeah. Good explanation about options. Bullish. Thank you. Thank you. If markets move as I predict, I'll have 15x my salary, so not quite the 25x I want. I mean, C90, that's pretty crazy. That is really crazy. If you go do some of the reverse calculations, right, to figure out how much money you need to retire. So you guys have heard of the 4% rule before, right? The idea is that you can withdraw 4% of however much money you have invested in the market every year and never run out of money ever. And they back tested it through the Great Depression. This 4% rule has been back tested to say that you retired at the peak of the Great Depression and withdrew 4% a year, even through the Great Depression, right? So when the market's down dramatically, this still works. If you retired here and were withdrawing 4% this entire time, it still would mean that you never run out of money. So what you do is you figure out your yearly, what you want yearly to spend, right? So let's just say that you want to spend $200,000 a year. You divide this by 0.04 to get how much money you would need to be able to retire on $200,000 a year. So if you have $5 million invested in the market, you can retire comfortably and expect to be able to pull $200,000 a year out of that and live. Now, with inflation and everything, you have to remember that a $50 Big Mac is what will be happening in the next 30 years or so. Based off of just trends of inflation, a $50 Big Mac will be the average cost at some point in the next couple of decades. And so this $200,000 a year won't really be enough to live in 30 years. So if you expect to live 30 years on retirement or whatever, you have to adjust for that. So let's just say that maybe you want $450,000 a year. You divide this by 0.04 to get that you need somewhere around 11 million to retire. So the numbers are extreme, but it's just a good shaping mentality so that everyone knows how much they need in order to actually survive in this world. Originally come from the FIRE community and Mr. Money Mustache community back in 2014-ish. Hell yeah, C90. The FIRE community is strong. I'm a big fan of FIRE. Financially independent, retire early. So you are well versed on that 4% rule. Financially independent and retire early. That is what most people in crypto want. Most people, a lot of people that make a lot of noise want those Lambos and the fun parties and everything, but most of us, at least on this page, are likely here to prep for the end of times. No, but you want just a nice little farmstead with some nice land so you can eat organic foods, knowing where it was sourced from, knowing that you didn't have to eat ground beef, which contains thousands of different meat from different cows. You want to just know that you have your one thing that's not full of antibiotics. You got a nice little family on a farm, or maybe not a farm, but some sort of nice little community going. You got enough money that you don't have to work, but you likely will work regardless, just because it's fun and it's something that you like doing, and you're good to go. I haven't charted it. Going to add the Big Mac moving average to my charts. Let's see, can we get the Big Mac moving average? Is that a functional indicator that I can add? Big Mac. Oh, damn it, fricker. Get rid of these moving averages. Lions on the farm. Hell yeah, Wild Africa. Lions on the farm. Is this really the Big Mac moving average? What is this? Does anyone know what this is? Is this the real thing? I doubt it. And now it's gone. Oh well. My aunt has a giraffe. That's funny AF. That's funny AF. I hope you're sincere with that, because that's cool. That's actually sick. I want to come visit. Everyone, we're going to go visit Wild Africa whenever the market cycle is over. That's what we'll keep our time busy with. Buying 1,000 Big Macs right now. Thanks for the tip. Beagle, odds are they won't expire. Odds are you'll be able to eat them. Low key, I bet it would work. I bet it would work fine. Hey, right as I was going to close, Yeti shows up. Welcome into the live stream, Yeti. Did you guys know we go live Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talk about decentralized science and the broader crypto markets? How was the AMA, Yeti? How was the AMA? That's just the MACD, right? Is it? It's not the Big Mac? Well, we got Big MACD, but I assumed this was the Big Mac index. Crypto Insight. It's probably actually just Big Mac. Big time? No, I'm looking for the Big Mac price. Oh well. You guys have seen the Big Mac index though. Oh, come on. I'll accept all of them, just because it's Statistica. Wow, I have to log in for this. Horse. A lot of questions that needed to be answered, so it went a little long, only 2 hours. That's good. That's good. And it was recorded, right? So I can go back and watch it. I was gonna join, but I didn't want to be called up to the stage to talk about anything. So I was gonna listen, but then I had to get ready for the live stream either way. Welcome anytime. You heard that. Wild Africa said we're all welcome over whenever. Pin message. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You guys know why I said Big Mac will be worth $50, right? At one point, you know, I was in an airport last year at some point, and I saw a Big Mac and it was like $25. I'm not exaggerating. We're already there. It'll be uploaded to YouTube. Good, good, good. We are already there with the Big Macs being worth significantly more than they should be. The Big Mac in the United States, $5.69. You go back 50 years ago and they were like 50 cents, meaning you go forward 50 years and they'll be worth $56, $57, maybe even more than that, depending on how everything goes. But I mean, if the dollar keeps going down like this, if the dollar keeps plummeting like it has been, we'll be looking at a way more expensive Big Mac. But we'll also be looking at a way more expensive Bitcoin. So you got to start denoting your Bitcoin, or you got to start denoting your Big Macs in sats. How many sats will it be worth? It's possible it's only worth a couple sats, 10 sats, 5 sats. I don't know. That'd be crazy though. Alt season soon. That's what we've been saying for the last 3 years, Beagle. I feel like we've been saying alt season soon since last cycle. In Geneva, where I live, the menu is 20 CHF. 20 CHF to USD. Oh my God. The Swiss franc. That's ridiculous. See? Look it, we're already there. Marvin, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The United States looks like a third world country. It looks like one of those places that you can go live for cheaper compared to where you live. That's insane. That's insane. We will see. We will see. But I'm gonna go. I gotta go get ready to get back into working. I'm gonna go for a walk, probably do a workout, and then get back into it all. Track my net worth every month since 2018. I need to convert it from dollars to Bitcoin this afternoon. Honestly, C90, yeah, you should. I think it's a good idea. I really do. I know it's a little bit of a meme, but I really do think it's a good idea to track it in a function of Bitcoin. I know, like, Bitcoin's super volatile and it still hasn't yet to live through a true recession, so we don't know what exactly it's going to look like. But I do think that Bitcoin will be one of those assets that stands the test of time, and I assume that most of you guys also agree with that. And so unless what happens to Spain and Portugal happens to the entire world for an extended period of time, which is also very likely, I think extremely likely actually, but I don't have time to go down that rabbit hole. It's a good idea to market in Bitcoin. If we do see that global blackouts for an extended period of time, which again I do think is super likely to happen, then it'd be better to view it in a function of water or ammunition. So divide your net worth by the price of a bottle of water. All right, guys. Your time is your most valuable asset. Hopefully you all found value in this live stream. We went through the DeSci news, talked about some of the macro data that came out, although it was not super in depth. And of course, we discussed the price of a Big Mac. Tomorrow will be Thursday. And I hope to see each and every one of you guys here with me on yet another daily live stream.